We are live on May 1st. It's a fresh new month. It's a Thursday, and it's the Ravens Lunch Hour live stream here inside the vault for you. I'm Bobby Trossett. She's Sarah Ellison. So good to be back with you guys. We will continue our series as we have this week in terms of checking in and looking at the AFC North divisional opponents of the Ravens and how they fared over draft weekend. At 12:30, Cincinnati Enquirer beat reporter, Bengals beat reporter Kelsey Conway, friend of the show, will be joining us. But before then, we're going to take a look at a couple things, Sarah. One that includes a Eagles content creator, Eagles fan, having an epic meltdown as the Ravens had themselves a nice first couple days of the draft. And these players that are ended up in Baltimore, I think a lot of the Philadelphia contingent wanted them Eagles. So we'll get into that. We'll also take a look at, being that towards the end of yesterday's live stream, the fifth-year option decisions came down from the team for Tyler Linderbaum and Kyle Hamilton. We will revisit those and, I guess, speculate and wonder whether or not Eric has something up his sleeve as it relates to Tyler Linderbaum. So all that more is what we have coming up. It's great to be back with you, partner. And we are coming up on 100 channel members. We would love for you to help us get to that number, an early milestone, and something that we rolled out last month. You can do so by clicking on the link that's included in the show notes. There's also one as a pinned comment right now in the live chat. It's a great way to become an official channel member and a Voltron. So how you doing, partner?
I'm good. We're coming up on 100 channel members. We're like 44 away from 24,000 subscribers. So feeling good on both ends. And it also feels good. Listen, the Eagles are the Super Bowl champions. And the Eagles beat the Ravens in the regular season. Probably one of the toughest games I feel like the Ravens had. And maybe they could have won despite, if it weren't for some of those kicks by Justin Tucker. But I do feel like they were one of the better teams the Ravens faced. And so, of course, it's got to feel good to Baltimore fans when the Eagles are flying high with their Super Bowl trophy. And then they start thinking, did the Ravens just pick some dogs that we would like to have? And can those dogs help put them over the top and be a threat to us? That is what happened here, Bobby. This is fun. This is just fun content to see how other teams are reacting to your draft. Let's jump right in.
Anyone but Mike Green, he would be perfect fit for Philly. He would fit so well with Philly. We need him. The most dominant edge rusher in the draft right now, please. Anyone but Mike Evans. Anyone but Mike Evans. Please no. Don't say. No! Are you kidding me? Yo, the Ravens are cooking. The Ravens are cooking in the draft. They take every player I want. Starks they took. Now Mike Evans. Bro, they're taking Mike Green as a dog. Yo, how did he not go first round? This kid should have went first round. How did he not go in the first round? He was supposed to be a top 10 draft pick. He was only a top 10 draft pick. Look at it, dude. No, this guy, even though he's on Marshall, I know they don't play anyone good. He's like a Micah Parsons times 5. Yo, Baltimore's actually cooking. I don't like to glaze Baltimore, but their draft this year is insane. We were supposed to get him. We were supposed to get Mike. We were the ones who were supposed to get Mike Green. Oh my. Yo, the Baltimore might be a threat in the AFC. Yo, the Baltimore might be a threat in the AFC. No. The Ravens might actually win in the postseason. The Ravens might.
There's so much to choose from.
There's so many phrases that are familiar to our live chat, I think, too, like glazing, for example. Right. I see that all the time in our live chat. But here's the ironic part about all of this. That reaction to me, it's the first time I've watched it all the way through, is very, very representative of the way that plenty in this league feel about Philly and the way that Howie drafts, because they've been so dominant in April for years under his management. So it's like this dude's, in a sense, he's acting as if they didn't just come off a title, like you said. And he's also acting as if they don't dominate the draft every single year. They had a pretty darn good one this go around as well. So I do find that kind of ironic.
Yes. The Eagles, I'm sure, got plenty of great draft grades and they have, a history to show that Howie's one of the best. But it's hard to disagree when you're like, Mike Green, please, why can't he keep falling? To know that he's, top 10, top 15. overall player. And I love how he kept calling him Mike Evans. Mike Evans, don't get Mike Evans. And then halfway through, he like corrected himself there. But Bobby, we've already said this earlier this week that Mike Green, as a pure football move, is my favorite pick of the Ravens draft. And the more I think about it, I've been thinking about that statement, my favorite pick. And my love for that pick has only grown. It has only grown because I just think about how the Ravens scored last year 30 points per game, which means come fourth quarter, opponents have to pass almost exclusively. They might throw in a run here and there, plus it's a pass-happy league. And so when you know for a fact that the opposing team is going to pass, Mike Green, and I'll add Aeneas Peoples in there, right? Where it's just like, hey, we know all you can do in this fourth quarter is drop back and see if you can pick up some chunk yards. And to be able to put Mike Green and Peoples back there with Matt Abike and whoever else you want to choose from, it's exactly what the Ravens needed. And the more I think about it, I'm just like, I love the pick. I love the pick. So while this guy was a little over the top, I could see why he would have wanted Mike Green to fall a couple more spots to his Eagles.
Since we're talking favorites,
yeah,
how about I tell you mine?
I would love that.
Sounds to me like you obviously Mike Green is in your top corner there, but you mentioned Peebles as well, and I think he's hard not to feel like he's got promise and spunk, and right, he's got this moxie to him, this self-confidence that's been oozing all over his social media posts since literally he heard his name called. Hard not to feel that way about Bilal in a different way from a humility standpoint, coming off of yesterday's interview that you and I had the privilege of conducting. It was one of the 6th round corners that was selected this past weekend out of Western Michigan. So go check that out. Shameless plug. We have that information for you. We have that video, I should say, in our best of category from yesterday. So go check it out after the show. But for me, I'll probably go Teddy Buchanan and then Malachi Starks. And the reason why I say Buchanan is not only because of the experience that he brings at the college level, and I think that competition breeds excellence phrase that I continue to reiterate and bring up when it comes to Trenton Simpson and the fire that he may feel under his this moving forward, and hopefully he benefits from that. Hopefully the entire linebacker room benefits from it. But this is a dude that I just think at some point he's going to prove himself. Teddy will be, through special teams, and all of a sudden he's going to be knocking on that door, and they're going to be forced to play him. And if that's the case,
on defense, you mean?
Defensively. Right. Right. So he's going to earn it through special teams, and then he's just going to be knocking on the door with his play, with his physicality, with his savvy, that I think they're going to have to be forced to play in him at some point in the near future. And then the reason why we're going to talk about Malachi in just a second, so I'll save some of these points, but I will preface it with this. It's an ESPN stat. Only one player in all of FBS is Malachi Starks that played the following when it comes to snap distribution over the last 3 seasons. There's been one player. His name is Malachi Starks. At least 1,500 snaps at safety and 500 snaps at slot corner. What does that tell me? They're different sizes. They're different players. But you may have another Kyle Hamilton, in a sense, coming to Baltimore with Malachi Starks, and that to me is awfully exciting.
Yeah, I would say like Eamon Worry from like a measurable standpoint is more of the Kyle Hamilton, but to your point, the versatility there and the fact that he can move around is like a Kyle Hamilton, which is what the Raven scouts were saying the other day in terms of in their behind the scenes kind of session with reporters. They were saying we kind of feel like they're interchangeable, even though they see him more as like the free safety. If you're going to lead with one of his versatile skills, it would be that free safety. So, Bobby, I just can't get over, speaking of Malachi Starks, and obviously this Eagles fan sure wanted him. And by the way, that Eagles fan, maybe I love it so much because it reminds me of my son's high school friends. Like they're all 15. And like that's how all of them talk. And at one point he's like levitating above his chair and whatnot. But Malachi Starks has been getting a lot of love in the media, a lot of love. And I wanted to point out some of it. So we've already hit on a little bit about his intelligence and his football IQ. And I am just seeing, website after website talk about this. So Sam Cohn, or is it Cohen?
Cohen of the Baltimore Sun.
Yep. Yeah, the Baltimore Sun just did an in-depth story on this, and he interviewed a former NFL wideout who is now a trainer for these NFL players, or some of the rookies becoming NFL players. And so he spent 7 weeks with Malachi Starks in Tampa. And I do believe Kone was with them too. Remember, Kone said that they were training together during the pre-draft process. So Murphy has been around a ton of NFL players as an NFL player himself, but he's also been around a ton of these college kids trying to make it into the NFL and helping them train. And so I wanted to read a little bit about what he said. And it always comes back to this with Malachi. Of course, he's got the versatility and he's got the pedigree with Georgia and all that he's done there, the ball skills, all of it. But everybody keeps coming back to how smart he is. He says, quote, "You got a guy that has that type of athletic ability, but really thinks through and wants to know everything about his body, everything about performance. He wants to be great." He goes on to say, "When I first met him, I deal with so many young men that are in their early 20s. A lot of times you say they just got a little maturing to do. They just got to be a little more process driven." And he says, with Malachi, it wasn't like that. And he tells the story about Logan Ryan, who was a cornerback in the NFL, played 11 seasons in the NFL from 2013 to 2023. And he won a pair of Super Bowl rings with the Patriots. So, he's been around. And it says, even in retirement, Ryan still comes around to lend a hand with Murphy's pre-draft crew. After his first day in Tampa with select members of this draft class, Ryan walked out of the room and told Murphy, "Malachi is the smartest young guy I have ever met." And that's half the battle on defense, Bobby. Half the battle on defense is knowing where you're supposed to be, which is why sometimes you can look past like their combine numbers, their 40s, their cone drills, their vert, all that kind of stuff. I mean, obviously it's got to be somewhere in the vicinity, which Malachi Starks is, but he's not at the top of everything. But you can get away with that with angles and, in a sense, kind of cheating the system because you know where you're supposed to be. And there's just nonstop talk about his cerebral mind.
You see why Eric DeCosta referred to him as one of the best pre-draft interviews throughout that process that he's ever conducted. And I think you see why he had so much success at Georgia. And I think you also have to tip your cap to the Georgia defensive structure that they have in place as well when it comes to grooming, these young men, these prospects into, professionals. And it seems like Malachi really has a leg up on a lot of his competition when it comes to the word we keep coming back to, his cerebral mind for the game. And that was on full display, Sarah, with Garrett. We already played it, but I think it certainly warrants repeat, doesn't it?
Well, I think we should repeat it because on NFL Live last night, you had four former NFL defenders, Ryan Clark, Louis Riddick, a couple other guys. We'll get all their faces up here in just a second. But they played this very clip, this interview that he had with Ryan Garrett, where he's breaking down his own play, and they reacted to it. So I didn't bring in the whole thing from Ryan Garrett or from Garrett Downing, but let's just revisit it so you can get so we can get kind of an idea of what the NFL Live crew is reacting to. But Garrett has him break down a couple plays. I'm just going to show one.
I'm going to put you on the spot here, all right? So I got some plays.
Okay, cool.
From your college career.
Let's do it.
And I want you to take a look at some of these and break down what you're seeing on these plays.
Okay.
You probably know this one right off the bat when you see what this play is.
So this was a big concept for them. This is trips. They have the tight end at 3. They only have so many concepts they run from the tight end at 3 with speed in the slot. My corner was actually supposed to give me an under call, so I was supposed to end up on 1. He would end up on 2. We're in cover 3, so I have hook droppers and I have my middle field safety, so just being able to use that and stay outside leverage. I make it seem like he's beating me. I get a good arm bar, so I'm able to turn around and find the ball. And once the ball's in the air, it's just about being comfortable. And I think I'm really good at being comfortable with the ball in the air.
Okay, so he calls it all out. The NFL Live crew kind of reacts to it. They're all pretty impressed, as anybody would. But there's something in there, and this is the part of the clip I pulled out. Is Malachi maybe so smart that we don't catch maybe a little bit of stretching some truth in there. That's what the NFL Live crew both gave him as props, but also said, okay, young man, we're not totally falling for everything you're saying.
I made him feel like though he beat me. I don't know if that's the case, but nevertheless, he does a nice job of kind of trying to pin him to the boundary. And then he goes up high and high points the football. He should have been outside leverage on that slot fade. And he said, hey, you know what, I was just baiting him. I was trying to get him to throw it, But, that's what he's supposed to say. I'm sure Kirby Smart came to the sideline and was like, you better get your rear end outside on that. You have middle of the field safety help. But what it is, it's cool. Like when you hear that, as RC knows and as Marcus knows and Booger knows, that is sweet music to us when people start talking like that. 3-by-1, tight end at 3, speed in the slot, where's your help, all that stuff.
Half of defense is knowing where to be. Like we used to hear it all the time. Most of the battle is knowing where to be, what leverage to play with, and then you get into the technique, and that allows your athleticism to shine in game. So what he was talking about is something that all of us here understands about defense. Like it's 11 guys, each guy has a responsibility on each given play, and sometimes yes, that gets thrown off kilter, and that's when that elite athleticism or your ability to be instinctual to make plays comes in to play. But I'm telling you right now, and Lou alluded to it, you make a play, you can still go to the sideline and get cussed out. And that's just how it works with a lot of these defensive coordinators and defensive guys, man. So shout out to Malachi Starks. But like Lou said, his ass better have outside leverage in cover 3 because that'll be Jamar Chase in a few months.
Yeah, I can just hear Kirby right now. Hey, but I will say this. There are probably some quarterbacks maybe watching this right now, and they're just like cringing because this is so good. And you guys are proving why you may listen, watch out, quarterbacks. They're smarter than you.
You're muted there, partner, but the outside leverage comment there was hysterical. Because the way he dressed it up, right? He was so quick to say, "Oh no, this was disguise. I'm making it seem like I'm being beaten here." I mean, that was like clockwork for him, And
that's why I said you can make a play. Because remember, we couldn't show the whole play. I showed some screen grabs, but the ball skills on that was phenomenal. The way he came up with the interception, but to their point, are you going to be able to do that against, Jamar Chase? You have inside help with a safety. You better get yourself outside. But that's the point, though. He's so smart. He definitely slipped that by on me, right? He probably slipped it by on you. We listened to that clip earlier this week. I didn't call him out on it, but the other defensive players are like, hold on here. Hold on. You are smart, but be even smarter and get on the outside because that's not going to work in the NFL. And, it's like, and luckily, though, he had the athleticism to pull off that pick. Look at that.
Athleticism, huh? Is that enough for you?
His ball skills are seriously my favorite thing. And Bobby, that's like an underrated thing that I think the Ravens did overall in this draft is getting playmakers. Malachi Starks has been a playmaker. And there's like we could bring up a few photos like this where he just goes up and tracks the ball and comes down with it. Mike Green is a playmaker. When you have that many sacks, that's making plays. If Peebles can make plays and get sacks or flush the quarterback out of the pocket, like those are plays. And so I feel like that's kind of an underrated aspect of usually the Ravens are like, let's just go get a big dude. Let's go get a big dude. No, they got some playmakers in this draft.
Speaking of playmaking, his first season with Georgia was the year that they won the title in 22. He had 68 tackles, 1.5 tackles for loss, 2 picks, 7 PBUs, started all 14 games for the team that ended up winning it all. It's his first season.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that'll play. And when you match the playmaking ability with that cerebral mindset of his, that cerebral IQ, could be a lot of fun. Being that this came down yesterday towards the end of our stream, and we did cover it,
Yeah.
Well, why not give it a couple more minutes before we bring in Kelsey Conway here? Eric DeCosta, through Ravens Productions, released a statement on the following two former first-round picks from 2022, Tyler Linderbaum and Kyle Hamilton. Both were eligible for fifth-year options. Kyle's, it's being exercised, and their goal is working toward a multi-year contract extension for the all-pro safety. As far as Tyler Linderbaum is concerned, at center, they are not applying the fifth-year option to him, but it is their intention, as you see here in the statement, for Tyler to remain a Baltimore Raven long-term. You and I were not surprised. We reacted to this instantly yesterday. But did you have any more thoughts that you wanted to discuss?
Yeah, just a couple. Number one, because this was predicted, it kind of feels like a ho-hum move, but these are franchise building block moves. This is a 2-time All-Pro that you have got locked in now for 2 more years, and obviously they're going to get it beyond. This is building block moves that is massive. 2 first-round picks that Eric DeCosta absolutely nailed. Kyle Hamilton is a home run pick. And Tyler Linderbaum isn't far behind. I don't know if I can say it's as good because he's a 2-time Pro Bowler, but not a 2-time All-Pro player. And so, you know, when you look at this, it makes so much sense, which is why we could predict it, that Kyle Hamilton's fifth-year option will be worth $18.6 million. Well, that's right there about the 5th most paid among safeties. He's definitely worthy of that. And once he gets his long-term contract, he's going to shoot all the way up to number 1. This was absolutely no-brainer. $18.6 million per year. Worth it. Absolutely worth it for Kyle Hamilton. Obviously for Tyler Linderbaum, though, that was declined because that is worth $23.4 million because the NFL doesn't recognize centers as a separate entity from the rest of the offensive line. So his $23.4 million is almost $5 million more than the highest paid safety, which is Creed Humphrey at $18 million. So that's a no-brainer to say.
Offensive lineman, right?
What? What do you mean?
You just said. I'm just making sure you said highest paid safety.
Center.
Creed Humphrey.
Highest paid center, right. Not offensive lineman. Highest paid center.
We knew what you were talking about. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. So Creed Humphrey's the highest paid center at $18 million. You're not going to give a 5th-year option that's worth $5 million more. It's because centers are not separate entities from the rest of the offensive line, with the left tackles in particular bringing that up. Field Yates feels like the NFL should revisit the fact that the centers are not separate entities. They should break it down by center, guard, and tackle. I completely agree. But I will say this, Bobby, and this is something I didn't say yesterday, and Jeff Zrebeck pointed this out again, which is that even though it feels like Eric DeCosta has more time to get a deal done with Kyle Hamilton because he's now locked in through the 2026 season. These 5th-year options are for 2026. They're both on their 4th-year rookie contract deals right now in 2025. But Eric DeCosta also has one more tool in his toolkit to allow him to keep Tyler Linderbaum here just as long as Kyle Hamilton, even if they aren't able to get the long-term deals. And that is the fact that you won't need to use the franchise tag if you needed to buy more time with Kyle Hamilton because of the 5th-year option, but you can use the franchise tag on Tyler Linderbaum. Now, the franchise tag is going to cost about the same as the 5th-year option, but here's the major difference. The 5th-year option, once you give it to a player, that money's guaranteed. It's done. It's completely guaranteed. Whereas with the franchise tag, you can tag somebody and later rescind it. It's not fully guaranteed. And so Eric DeCosta has that tool in his toolkit where he can keep them both here in 2026 if by chance they're not able to get the long-term deals done. So he'll just use one tool on Linderbaum, use another tool on Hamilton. But at the end of the day, Bobby, 5th-year options or not, franchise tag options or not, in my opinion, both of these guys are going to get long-term deals when it's all said and done.
I can really only think of one knock when it comes to Tyler. And I don't think this is in any way related. I wouldn't think, now that we know the numbers, now that we know the highest paid center, right? And it's clearly a financial decision, a team building decision. But the only knock that I can think of when it comes to Tyler, Sarah, is some of his performances against the premier defensive tackles like a Jalen Carter, where he has struggled keeping up with that kind of sheer force and size. If you remember coming out of Iowa, what was the biggest knock on Tyler Linderbaum? It was the undersized arms, the arm length. And I think you see that rear its ugly head a little bit when it's the big time premier defensive tackles. And so if that's the only knock you can think of, and he is the ultimate field general, and he is as reliable as ever, and he is Iowa farmer tough, then why wouldn't you try and keep this guy around? He has lived up to everything you wanted him to be when you selected him in the first round with the pick that you got when you acquired you acquired the first round pick for Marquise Hollywood Brown a few years ago. He's lived up to that hype. But if there's one knock that I can think of, that's what comes to mind.
Yeah, and I don't even know if knock is the correct term, because I hear what you're essentially doing, right? You're hitting a nuance to show, that as good as first round draft picks as they both were, there are levels to that, right? And so that's probably why with Kyle Hamilton, he's an all-pro, and with Tyler Linderbaum, he's, in air quotes, just a Pro Bowler, right? Because there are maybe some all-pros out there that might be able to get the best of Tyler Linderbaum here and there. But overall, he's certainly one of the best centers and worthy of a top 5 contract at that position.
Certainly, which now brings the overall situation, as Jonas Schaefer noted here, given Kyle Hamilton's 5th-year salary being locked in, the Ravens' top 5 cap hits in 26 now account for 58%. Count it, 58% of the team's projected cap. This is Spot Rack. And who's at the top there, Sarah, which yet again brings up why you and I have been discussing this and trying to track down as much information as we possibly can all throughout this offseason. But Lamar's cap hit for 26 skyrockets, which only continues to stress the importance of getting that extension done at some point here. In 25, the top 5 account for just 41%. As Jonas looked around, this wasn't around the league. This was actually internally. This is this upcoming season cap-wise. And then he just reiterates what I'm getting at here when it comes to Lamar's deal.
Yeah, because what he's saying is your top 5 contracts this year, they account for 41%. So just under half of all your cap space goes to 5 players. That's this year. But next year, those you take the top 5 again, that's going to account for almost 60%. So over half. And who are those 5 players? To your point, Lamar Jackson will be about a $75 million cap hit. Nnamdi Madubuike, he shoots up at about $31 million. Roquan Smith, almost $29 million. Marlon Humphrey, $26 million. And then Kyle Hamilton at $8 million. And then underneath that, under the top 5, all these guys certainly deserving based off of, if they were to repeat what they did last year. Ronnie Stanley would be $10 million. Great value for your left tackle. Rashad Bateman, just under $8 million. Great value at wide receiver. Justin Tucker would be $7 million. My guess is he won't be on this anymore. But then Marcus Williams, you're still paying for that. This is why you can't miss on second contracts. Marcus Williams, his dead money will count $6 million still in 2026. We're not even talking about in 2025. That's in 2026. And that's the 9th highest cap hit, which is really just dead money from somebody that's not there. You cannot, that's another reason why you got to be careful of paying other people's free agents. You're just not sure how they're going to fit in with you. It looks good on paper. And they show that they can do it at the NFL level, but there's a reason why other teams let their guys go, and you better be right with paying big money to other teams' free agents, because stuff like that in the red can pop up.
So for those wondering maybe what the Twitter caption's all about, what could Eric DeCosta have up his sleeve? How would you define that?
What do you mean? Up his sleeve in terms of what we're talking about right now?
When it comes to Linderbaum and his specific future.
Yeah. So I'm saying using that franchise tag.
Right.
And so if he used, again, the 5th-year option and the franchise tag would cost about the same for Linderbaum. However, the 5th-year option is guaranteed the moment you use it, you cannot rescind it. And the franchise tag, you can rescind it, so it's not guaranteed all the way through. And so you can buy time. Basically, this 5th-year options in his statement is just buying time to get deals done. He said, I want to get a long-term deal done with both in that statement. But you are only going to use guaranteed money if it doesn't work out with Kyle Hamilton, because it's worth it based off of the safety market. It wasn't worth it for Tyler Linderbaum, but he can still buy the exact same amount of time without the guaranteed money. And that's where I'm saying he might have a trick up his sleeve by using the franchise tag on Linderbaum instead of the 5th-year option.
There you have it. Let's get to some super chats. We appreciate you guys for being with us today. Over 1,500 concurrents. Tila, please like the video on your way in. If you haven't already done so, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, do all the things for us. We appreciate it. Katie became a member yesterday. She's still popping up in the super chat feature. So thank you, Katie. And Asmodeus for you.
He says, Sarah, at number 14, meaning Kyle Hamilton, can also rush with Starks in the back. I think he was talking about me talking about going after the quarterback when it's 4th quarter and you probably are just protecting the lead, and all the other opposing team is doing, or they are almost exclusively doing, is passing. He's absolutely right. You can send a safety blitz with Kyle Hamilton.
Santiago 3526 says, I'm not an employer anymore, but here's a question that answers a lot of questions. What's your favorite movie, color, and food? Asking both of you.
But here's
Wait
a question
second.
that answers a
Well,
lot.
what's the employer part of this mean?
What's your favorite movie, color, and food? Asking both of you. I don't know what the employer part has to do with it.
Do you know these 3 off the top of your head, or do you need to think about these types of questions? Because a lot of people can rip them off right away. In my mind's kind of churning right now to figure out how I want to answer it. They're basic to so many people.
I've got some answers.
Okay.
The movie one's tougher for me. I really, in my adult years, have stopped watching movies because I feel like the vast majority of them are remakes from my childhood. And so I notice my kids all like the new movies because it's new to them. But me, it's just like, okay, I saw this already, right? Like 13 going on 30 was the Tom Hanks movie, Big, right? It was like, okay, it's the same movie,
Okay.
with a little bit of a twist or whatever. So movies I don't love, but my husband has a movie, I'll give you his, that is his favorite.
Okay.
And it's so random, but if you know him, you get it. But it's What Dreams May Come. It's with Robin Williams and Cuba Gooding Jr., and the concept is, I'm not giving away anything too much if you want to go see it. But the concept is this couple loses their children in, I think it was a car accident. And his wife is going through severe depression. And so it kind of depicts what Robin Williams, the husband, what he's willing to go through to save his wife.
Okay.
And so that really touches my heart. That's my husband's favorite movie. Okay.
Good one. Good one.
My favorite food. I kind of want to do a meal, but it's steak and fries.
Okay.
Like, give me a steak about medium, maybe medium well, but medium with some steak fries. And I want to dip my fries in ranch, please and thank you. Ketchup. My kids think I'm weird for that. And color, that changes, but I'd say red.
Okay.
Like the passionate leadership kind of, fire kind of color. So those are my answers.
All right, Santiago, let's see. All good breakdowns there. And you really didn't need to think about much of it at all. So that's on the fly stuff from you.
They say the steak needs to be medium or medium rare. All right, keep it a medium to please people.
Okay. Man, what am I going to do here? I think I'll go the movie. I'm going to go with something that's way back for me in my childhood. I'm going to go with Glory Road.
What is that?
Has anybody ever heard of Glory Road? It's a basketball movie.
Ooh.
And I'm just going to go ahead and read the Wikipedia caption because it's been so long since I've actually watched it, but I want to be able to summarize it correctly. All right. Let's see. 2006 sport/drama category. Glory Road, based on a true story. After being appointed the new coach of the 1966 Texas Miners, Don Haskins, a.k.a. Josh Lucas, decides to build a team based on talent rather than race. The conservative townsfolk balk at the new racially diverse lineup despite the fact that the team is winning all their games. When black players like Bobby Joe Hill and team captain Harry Flournoy begin to dominate the court with flashy moves, the racial tension increases, jeopardizing the future of the team. But ultimately, to me, it was a transcendent movie in my mind. Take race out of it. Take everything that's going on in the country at that time out of it. To me, it was a crossroads between basketball, community, and overcoming what was not caring about what's happening in the world that time. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Glory Road.
Well, now that you bring that up, I gotta say I do love sports movies. Like whether it's Rudy, Remember the Titans. And I'll tell you what movie me and my brothers rewatched a gazillion times. It's like a movie / documentary. Did you ever watch Hoop Dreams? Oh, we were so into basketball. Like me and my brothers like legitimately thought we would be playing in the NBA and the WNBA. And all I did was play basketball in the front driveway with whatever neighborhood kids would come in and be like, I'd be like, come play. But Hoop Dreams was just like these kids who one of them was coming up and wasn't very highly heralded. And one was, but then he, couldn't use it to his advantage. And the one that wasn't as highly heralded actually ended up going further. But I must have watched Hoop Dreams when I was a little kid, like 20 times, which is crazy because it was like more of a documentary kind of slow pace type thing. But anything with sports and like you're overcoming, like I do love those movies and I'll get chills. I will get chills all day long and be like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's like a story of perseverance, but also just like this unwavering commitment to build a basketball team, not based on race. We are building this team based on talent alone. That's it. And at that time in Texas, when you think about what was going on down there around that time socially, it was incredibly moving. I honestly would highly recommend it. And it makes me want to go watch it again. Santiago, I got to get my other two too.
Yeah, get it in there.
I almost forgot. Okay. It was orange growing up when it comes to favorite color, but I think it's evolved into just like a light blue. I don't know.
Okay.
I like light blue.
Okay. I don't feel like you wear it that often.
For no reason. Yeah, I don't really wear.
You gotta get some more light blue.
You know what's funny? My mom says that all the time. She's to all of us because, crazy enough, all 6 Trossets, 4 siblings, 2 parents, all of us have blue eyes. And she's like, we need, really to the boys, she's like, boys, you need to wear things that complement your eyes, that bring out your eyes. I said, okay, Mom. So anyway, it used to be orange. The only reason why it was orange was because my school colors.
Oh, gotcha.
School colors, black and orange, Halloween theme type thing, year round. But I think it's evolved into blue. And then in terms of food, this is always hard for me because of my, you guys all know I've overshared before in the past about my colitis, kidney stones. I've had so many freaking issues when it comes to gastro related things. So I have a hard time. I can't eat fried food. I can't eat pizza. I don't do ice cream. I can't do a lot of the things that are, considered sweet treats or just good food in general. So I'll probably go something along the lines of like a crab cake since I moved here, or I love a good salmon dish with a little bit of rice filling underneath.
Okay.
So that's probably pretty. I'm sure they're screaming at their screen right now. Bobby Bland does it again, but it's the truth.
They're more making fun of the color orange. They're like, the only thing worse than orange is brown.
Yeah, of course they are. But Santiago, because I kind of gave you a half arse answer and food, which was really genuinely, I didn't mean to. I mean, I'm being genuine with you. I'll give you my favorite cocktail. How about that? It's an old fashioned. Love a good old fashioned with an orange in there. And Sarah, for you, who is not a drinker, it's a I like a rye, which is it's a bourbon whiskey type feel with some bitters in there. And my favorite one that I've had thus far is probably at Marta, which is between Upper Fells and Canton. It's a restaurant right up here that I've been doing some solo Sunday night dining at a bar stool here and there. So anyway, that's that.
Thank you, Santiago. That kind of took us down a rabbit hole, but it was kind of fun.
And we will be fully transparent here. Something must have come up with Kelsey because she never misses these segments. Yeah. So there's the reason why we're kind of
diving into this
on these questions. So We'll have to circle
Did you
back
text
with her.
her?
I
Or
did.
DM her? She
I-
hasn't responded?
I followed back up with her. So something's going up with Kelsey. We were supposed to talk Bengals just like we did Steelers yesterday with Brooke Pryor, and tomorrow we'll be with Mary Kay Cabot. But looks like we might be pushing Kelsey to Monday, and I hope everything's all right. We haven't heard from her.
Yeah, I hope she's okay.
So that's that.
Kelsey Conway, obviously from Cincinnati Enquirer.
Yep, and brother of Devin, who's a patron of ours. But look who's checking in. I'll let you get Ing showing us some love.
What up, Wing? What up, Wing? He says only knocks on Tyler Linderbaum are him knocking people on their behinds. I think that's a message to you there, Bobby. He says, love y'all. Missed you last week, Sarah. I missed you too. What's funny though is I did watch because I was going back for a little research for a segment we have coming up. I went back to Friday night, which is when I came in late, and this was hilarious to me. I caught Ingraven in the middle of saying the Ravens aren't going to pick Mike Green. The Ravens aren't going to pick Mike Green. And you were like, hold up. Are you sure about that? And then he looks at you like, get out of here. Like, are you for real? And then you announced that the Ravens took Mike Green. I thought that was hilarious.
The funny part about it, and a lot of people got a good kick out of that. I got some tweets about that. And I remember Kadri kind of cackling in the moment while we were live as well. But the funny part about that is, and I'm just going to go bigger screen. So Ingraven was literally right here.
Right.
He was kind enough to spend close to friggin' 2 hours with me, shoulder to shoulder, night 2 of the draft, because he was in for an in-person stream with the 410 guys the night before.
Okay.
He's hanging here. And as you know, Sarah, because I think you've seen it over FaceTime and photos that I've put up before, I really do kind of have a command center at my desk. And right now I have 4 screens here, 2 monitors, 2 laptops. So the funny part was, and I think it's just the familiarity that I have with my setup, but Ing had it all right here. I mean, the pics are coming out and they're staring right at his face, but he's got so many different screens that he must have just been overwhelmed by the amount of sheer content that was in front of him, which made for a very funny, real moment. And again, it was awesome to finally meet him in person after all these years and do some draft coverage with him on Friday night. That brings us to, I don't think we've ever received, if memory serves, a $63.40 super chat until right now from the Park Heights Prophet. We appreciate you, Park Heights. And they write, we crushed the draft. So excited for this season. We'll make the trip to Buffalo. It's one of the road sites, regular season-wise. We'll learn the date and time coming up, by the way, 2 weeks from now on the 14th. It's a Wednesday. And trying to book for Santa Clara. I am late, but sending $63.40 in honor of this past weekend's baptism.
Oh.
And he's got his favorite Bible verse.
Wait, let's look this up.
Romans 6. And congrats.
Romans.
That's awesome.
6, 3-4. Maybe I should know this, but when I read it, maybe I will. This is the New International Version. I don't know why that came up first. Let's do... Where's King James? Here we go. Or do you not know that as many of us as were baptized into Christ, Jesus were baptized into his death? Therefore, we were buried with him through baptism into death, that just as Christ was raised from the dead by the glory of the Father, even so we also shall walk in the newness of life. That's awesome. 63:40 for Romans 6, 3-4. And amen. Amen. That we will be raised with Christ. Thank you. That was very nice.
But how about the sentiment to remember that you had a big baptism, your youngest, this past weekend, and then 4 days later send a super chat. That's pretty cool.
That is cool. And can I real quick, is that the last super chat?
We got a bunch more.
Oh, you got more. Okay, never mind. I have some on Isaiah Likely, and then we'll get into what I'm calling our petty corner. We'll do a petty segment.
Yeah. What's the petty segment? With Brooke and Aaron and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah. I never actually went back and watched what I needed to watch, but I know. I'm sure you did. I'm still.
You like to change your argument. You change your statements. You change it all the time.
Oh, there's nothing that's changed.
Oh, you changed. You changed big time.
The word hostage.
Petty corner coming up.
The word hostage was used.
No, it wasn't. I went back and listened to the whole segment.
You looked at the wrong segment then.
No.
Joe Jenkins says Joe is giving us his answers to Santiago's from earlier. And he writes, Band of Brothers It's a series.
Mm-hmm.
Purple and Maryland seafood. Okay. So movie, color, food.
Yep.
Olu showing some love.
He says, what dreams may come. Ultimate story of love. It really is. It chokes me up every time. He's right. Every time. Really deep. Sarah, you have a great man. My wife loves that movie too. You got to go watch it now, Bobby.
All right.
But you better get ready. It's like a 3-hour one and it's deep. So you got to be in the mood for it.
I got news for everybody. That's not going to happen until I get the Buffalo Plague next year again. All right. I don't watch movies. I don't watch series. I don't lay down. I don't sit down really ever. Well, I guess I sit down for the show and dinner and meals and sleeping. But other than that, it's go, baby.
You sound
go.
like the sensei from Karate Kid. Pain does not exist in this dojo, does it? Laying down does not exist in this dojo, does it?
Straight up. The best in the North writes, can someone please tell me what is this Eagle fan? Going back to our earlier segment, the meltdown about the Ravens' first couple draft picks. And Dreams checking in.
He says, as a military brat, military movies are my favorite. Saving Private Ryan was a good one.
And not a fan, making sure to check in on what's become an internet viral sensation over the last few days. And that is, can 100 men kill a gorilla? The important context here is that it's 100 unarmed men.
Men, yes.
What say you?
Listen, I got to go team human here. No, I've actually listened to some pretty decent strategies, which if you've listened to the Ravens and Marlon Humphrey's almost there when he was talking about Lamar Jackson being able to juke him and like distracting him. I think it's more that from what I understand in my Twitter and Instagram video watching of people making these arguments is that gorillas can fatigue quickly. So if you got 100 men, you got to space out, which is like, I'm thinking of my girls' soccer team. You want to pass to wear the other team out. So the idea is to wear the gorillas down. If you got 100, you got to spread out, get them to run back and forth. And once they're fatigued, you got to jump on their back and do something from there on out. But I think that's the only way to get it done. You got to fatigue them. It's just one. I'd like to think that like it's the smarts that gets the humans on top, that they figure out a strategy. You know what I mean?
I'd like to get measurables for all 100 men. Want to see what these men are all about.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if you took you took the Ravens roster and like whatever, the Browns roster, and you got to trim a few off to get to 100, and you're not 106. I think between the speed and the strength and the smarts in those two groups, I think you can get it done and let them know it's all about fatiguing them.
But that's the funny part. Like, it's not like we're dealing with NFL rosters here.
Well, I'm just saying, you said you wanted the measurables. I just gave you a scenario with measurables.
Right. A scenario that, and I guess that's what makes this conversation so fun. They kept it wide open. If we're talking about 100 frail men who are not active, who are not fitness oriented, who don't have a tough bone in their body, good night.
Yeah.
Gorilla prevails. But if we're talking about an NFL roster that can hold, 3 or 4 Myles Garrett's can hold this gorilla down.
After he's fatigued from him running after Lamar and company and Flowers and all of that.
This is hysterical. I was going to say, Romy, you're right. Let's not kill anybody. Come on. I'm with you.
Come on.
No killing.
Come on.
For the spirit of the exercise, she says.
Okay. Yeah, for the spirit of this exercise here. Okay, are there more?
We are fully caught up on Super Chats. We appreciate you guys for being with us. Over 1,800 concurrents. Please like the video. Help us reach 24,000 subscriptions and 100 channel members, which we're at 92. And what'd you say we're out from subscribers-wise? 50-something? 40-something?
44, I think. Hey, listen. One more before we get to our petty time. Isaiah Likely this morning. Should I keep 80 or do y'all think it's time for the switch up? I'm such a creature of habit that I don't like the change. I want 80. Look at Nitro here in the comment section. Keep the 80 and go get 80 receptions too.
Hey, there it is.
If we're gonna do that, let's change it to 90.
There it is. I have absolutely no, I don't know. I don't care.
Listen, I'll just be honest. It messes me up. I like to look at a screen and I'm like, boom, I know who 80 is. That's Isaiah Likely. Okay. I know who number 8 is. Boom, that's Lamar Jackson. I don't like it when they switch it up on me because then I'm like, I have to think for a second of who it is.
Yeah.
Keep it at 80.
Yeah, I don't. You guys, live chat, do you guys have an opinion on this? I guess I would lean towards what you just said, Sarah, but I don't feel a certain type of way about it. But Isaiah clearly doing a little bit of
I guess I would also like to know what his options are. Like he can't just pick any number.
Right.
Right?
Right.
All right.
Correct. More super chats have come in, by the way.
Yeah, they have. And then it is almost 1:00. It is so funny to me that like a full-on guest that we attributed like 15 to 20 minutes for didn't show up, and yet we just have no problem talking. Whatsoever.
Yeah. Timing is never a problem in here.
No. Kobe wants to know how many men hang around after the gorilla bests someone with the arm of another.
Bests or beats?
Beats, my bad. Beats someone with the arm of another. Yeah. Again, to Marlon Humphrey's point, you got to have a couple of guys that aren't crazy, but have a little bit of a screw loose. The person that fits that exactly is what was his name? Tom Zbikowski, safety back in the day. There was a little screw loose in there. He was a little bit teetering on crazy. I don't know if you guys remember him.
Habituals in on it. They write, just get the 100 men who hunt Tarzan family.
Yeah, there we go.
And Park Heights Prophet with another one for you.
Says, need to get Bobby out for Cinco. Oh, Cinco de Mayo's coming up to meet a lady and smoke a nice cigar.
That is coming up. Let's see what day it falls on this year. It's a Monday, so I'm sure it'll be celebrated early this weekend. Santiago, again, this is the Ravens channel, but when you two talk life, it's really special. Thank you both, Sarah and Bobby. Old fashioned is my go-to also. Thank you, quote, Mad Men. Keep dominating Ravens media. That's awesome. I mean, you were the one that inspired this, Santiago. And Sarah and I have definitely evolved into both realizing, I think, that there is a lot of value in me oversharing and Sarah sharing at her own, comfort level.
Appropriately.
Yep. And I know we both appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun to kind of evolve in that way from a 15-minute show, 3 years ago, and this July will be 3 years, by the way, since we launched. But, for a 15-minute show that was jam-packed with Ravens content only to now be live and sharing all these different pieces of my life and some of yours is pretty cool. Not a fan.
He says, going to really mess you up when Lamar is wearing number 1. It for sure is going to mess me up.
Sod Blitz checking in. Isaiah wore number 4 in college. And yes, 100 can win easily, I think is what he's getting at there.
Zay Flowers has that. Are they going to exchange?
If they're both down for a change, clearly Isaiah's brainstorming here. Maybe he's trying to get his teammates to be interested too. We are fully caught up.
Okay.
And you want to go into Petty Corner. I heard of Petty Corner, but
I like it.
I'm glad to see what you're saying. We spent about 90 seconds on it yesterday, and then we both looked at each other.
Okay, sir, before we have this argument, okay, so for those that may not have been here yesterday, we had Brooke Pryor on. And this pettiness stems back all the way to Friday night, let's be honest, where Bobby made it. We were discussing the Steelers passing on a quarterback in the 3rd round, okay, where they took a running back over a quarterback. Bobby made a statement. I passionately disagreed. And then when Brooke Pryor came on, who covers the Steelers and arguably knows them better than anybody in the media, or at least as good as anybody, I basically try to get her to tip the scales one way or another to say whether I was right or Bobby was right. Now, here's my problem with you, Mr. Trossett. If you will say something and I will refute it and you're like, oh, that's not really what I meant. Okay. So before we can have an actual debate, go back to Friday night and I just want to make sure we're debating the same thing, because you told me something and I was like, that's not true. And you're like, oh, I'm being a little hyperbolic. And I'm like, but I don't understand what you're saying. So then you claim once she was on here yesterday, she starts using a fully different word than you ever used. I went back this morning and I watched. She used the word hostage. You never did that night. Never single once.
Okay,
I watched.
You
so
went
just
back
tell
and
me
watched.
what your argument is about Aaron Rodgers as it relates to the Steelers draft. I just want to know before we can debate. Because you're a slippery little sucker.
Do you remember the verbiage? Being that you went back and watched.
Yes.
Do you remember the verbiage?
You said that he was controlling their moves behind the scenes and that that he's got control over what they're doing as it pertains to quarterback in the draft.
Which is a synonym of being held hostage.
Sure. So just clarify for me. What do you think Aaron Rodgers is holding them hostage from? Like, what is he preventing them from doing? This is what I want to make sure before I give a rebuttal that I know what your stance is.
I think he just, generally speaking, has a stranglehold on their current quarterback situation, because while Mason Rudolph can be apparently, through Mike Tomlin's eyes, looked at as somebody that they're comfortable moving forward with.
Mm-hmm.
And Brooke commented yesterday on the way that he hung around in 23 when Kenny Pickett went down and led him to the postseason. We all know that they're not going to go farther than an early round, you would think, in the postseason with Mason Rudolph under there as QB1. So all along, I've thought, as they have stayed out of the quarterback market, right? They've stayed out of the free agency quarterback market. They've allowed Justin Fields to walk. They've allowed Russell Wilson to walk. All along, I've felt like whatever.
Now, you do know that they went after Justin Fields.
They showed interest in him.
That has nothing to do with Aaron Rodgers because they tried to re-sign him.
They tried to, but they ruined it last year, obviously. And Justin was like, "You
sure,
guys
but which has nothing to do with Aaron Rodgers.
You guys gave up on me. I'm gone, right?"
Okay.
So they at least made an attempt at Justin Fields. But all along, to me, reading the tea leaves, Aaron's got a complete stranglehold on this entire situation. Where I think you're going here to play the pettiness.
Hold on. I want to make sure I'm repeating this back to you. You
I'm
feel
about to go
like
there now.
You hold on a second. We got to make sure we're on the same page, Mr. Trossett. You feel like they have a stranglehold, is your new word, which I'm cool with. Stranglehold on their quarterback room? Is that what you're saying?
Aaron has a stranglehold in terms of where they are organizationally right now, because they cannot move forward without a starting caliber quarterback in their room, which they do not have right now.
Okay, so let me ask another clarifying question. Is it in your view that they passed over quarterbacks, because this is what you were saying on Friday night, that they passed over quarterbacks that they believe in rounds 1 through 5? They passed over them even though they believe in him because of Aaron Rodgers.
Well, the point that we were making was the context behind Shedeur Sanders and those two being
and Jalen Milroe. I went back and listened to it because I was like shocked at the time, right? Now we've got a little bit more of time behind it, but I was shocked that in the 3rd round, and I said this, and this is what brought the conversation on. I said, I can't believe that this quarterback needy team is passing up Shedeur Sanders or Jalen Milroe in the 3rd round. And then you said, you immediately went to Aaron Rodgers and you said it's because Aaron Rodgers was controlling things behind the scenes. So you were implying, and I want to make sure this is where you stand, that the Steelers believed in one of those quarterbacks, but they passed on them to appease Aaron Rodgers. Is that your stance?
Just Shedeur.
Okay, so they passed on Shedeur not because they don't believe in him. They believed in him, but they passed on him because of Aaron Rodgers. That's your stance.
Well, if they believed in him as a player, here's the deal. If those two were to be in the same quarterback room, Shedeur and Aaron, that would be water and oil. And Aaron's not walking into a situation at this point in his career where if things start to struggle, if things start to get bleak like they did early last year, you don't have Shedeur Sanders knocking on the window with the media crazed circus that comes with that, because the media, the fans, everybody would be calling for Shedeur. That's all I was saying. It's Shedeur Sanders that if they were high on him, I do feel as though if they had a handshake deal, like Brooke was kind of alluding to yesterday, or at least speculating on when it comes to where things are at right now between Aaron and the Steelers and their future, I do think that they would pass on Shedeur because of it. I do.
Okay, so you believe that they believed in Shedeur Sanders, that he could be their franchise quarterback, but they passed for Aaron Rodgers.
Sarah, I'm speculating on whether or not they believed in him.
I know. Obviously, this is all speculation. My side is speculation too.
Okay.
So I just want you to say it with your chest out. Like, you're saying that they believed in quarterbacks, but they passed on them for Aaron Rodgers. Yes or no? Because that's my whole point.
I'm telling you, it's one quarterback. It's one quarterback that I'm referring to, and it's Shedeur Sanders.
Okay.
They went and took, who'd they take? McCord on day 3, right? Or Will Howard,
OSU.
right?
Yeah, Will
Howard.
Howard.
Will Howard. So clearly it's not all quarterbacks. Now, is Will Howard going to come in day 1 and be a starter for them? Surely not. You're going to give it to Mason before you are the rookie out of Ohio State, I would think.
Right.
But I don't really so what is your big gripe right now?
My big gripe is that I feel like this is generally the difference between you and I. That first and foremost, NFL teams want to win. And you keep talking about a circus that would come with Shedeur Sanders. What's the circus going on with Aaron Rodgers?
Plenty.
It's a circus. So that alone already blows away your argument, because Aaron Rodgers is a circus bigger than Shedeur Sanders has ever been. You can go back to the COVID stuff. You can go back to him and his meditation, him skipping OTAs or mandatory stuff, or all of it. He is a way bigger circus. And so your argument that they're passing on it because Aaron Rodgers has a stranglehold, but you're not like being clear on like it's because it's a circus or not. Like Aaron Rodgers has proven to be a bigger circus. He has proven that.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's number one. Oh. Go ahead.
A proven circus.
Yeah.
A proven circus. Shedeur Sanders is an unproven entity as of right now. And that comes with a circus. And it comes with his father.
But he hasn't been proven in the last several years where he's been injured and he's over 40 now. He hasn't done anything over the last 3 years.
Fine.
Nothing.
Fine.
Okay.
But he has not been, there has not been enough talent around him. He has not been in a situation that is beneficial for him.
Right.
Okay. And so he's going to go to Pittsburgh, one of the most stable, as we all know, structured organizations in all of football, longest tenure head coach, blah, 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 blah. It's a much better situation. That, to me, is worth the circus to at least try for a year or two. He's 40 years old. It's only going to be a year or two.
I'm not disputing that. What I'm mostly disputing is that you're saying that they're passing on quarterbacks that they believe in.
Singular.
Okay, well, they passed over Jalen Milroe too, so that just hurts your argument again.
No, it doesn't.
Because they didn't. Bobby, the point is, how can you decipher whether they believe in Shedeur versus Milroe? They passed on both. They passed on all quarterbacks, not named Cam Ward because they didn't have a chance to get him, and Will Howard. They passed on all quarterbacks. And yet you want to pull Shedeur Sanders out and say, oh, but they believed in him, but not the others. And they passed on him because of Aaron. But Aaron has the stranglehold over the quarterback room. Oh, but I'm not saying they passed on Jalen Milroe, just Shedeur Sanders. You already blew away your own argument. Either he has a stranglehold. Listen, either he has a stranglehold or he doesn't. But this is where you start getting slippery. You're like, oh, no. Okay, yeah, I said a stranglehold on the whole quarterback room. But, oh, wait, I'm just talking about one quarterback, Shedeur. Like, which is it?
Well, you could make an argument that it's the entire room. Will Howard's not coming in as a day 3 quarterback and challenging Aaron Rodgers.
Obviously.
If you draft a first rounder 21 overall, if it was Shedeur and or Jalen, absolutely.
Here's the point. NFL teams want to win. That's it.
Yes.
They're going to choose the quarterback that they think that they have the best chance to win with, regardless of all the sideshows.
Correct.
Because there will be a sideshow with Aaron Rodgers. There already has been.
Correct.
And so that's my problem, is that it's not just the Aaron Rodgers situation. It's almost everything. I feel like you lean more into decisions being made out of secondary stuff, which has some merit, but it doesn't trump the fact that teams want to win. Aaron Rodgers is not holding them hostage and strangleholding them when they believe in another quarterback. They would say, peace out in a second if they believed Shedeur Sanders or Jalen Milroe or anybody else could help them win. That's it. That's it. But you lean into the drama side, which surely needs to be mentioned and is part of the equation. But at the end of the day, it's secondary. NFL teams want to win. They didn't pick Shedeur Sanders or Jalen Milroe or any other quarterback not named Will Howard because they didn't believe in him. And that is what Brooke Pryor solidified for us yesterday. That is what she solidified. Here's the video where she says it as she's been covering this team. Here's my question. Is them not picking a quarterback until the 6th round more a function of him holding them hostage or that they just didn't like anybody in the draft?
I think it's that they didn't like anybody in the draft enough to use those premium picks.
Yes, thank you.
And I think that it was a very disciplined draft for them. I felt like, because I do think that Aaron Rodgers is holding them hostage in a way, or at least he is keeping the wheel of distraction going. Like, we are still talking about it. But I think that if there had been a prospect that they felt like is a game-changing quarterback, they would have gotten him.
If they holding
you
hostage.
Set that question up.
She
you
said
set that question up.
Absolutely, I did. Absolutely, I did. And I got the answer that was absolutely correct. She said that they hold hostage.
Set that question up to get the question, to get the answer you were looking for. You know that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know that.
That's what makes me a good debater.
No.
He holds him hostage. She said, let me finish. He's holding him hostage. She had the opportunity to go that side. Hostage in the terms of keeping the wheel of distraction going. But they didn't like anybody enough to use a premium pick. That's it. He's keeping him hostage in terms of like, I haven't fully signed and this distraction is going on. But if they wanted, if they felt like a guy was good enough, they would have picked him. Aaron Rodgers, be damned, right? Doesn't matter. That is the end of it. That's the end. If they believed in somebody, they would have picked it. It's not because Aaron Rodgers has control over their every move. And she just confirmed it. Of course I asked but she had ample opportunity to take your side, and she chose not to because she's correct.
The way you said
Any hour is closed, and Brooke Pryor named me the winner.
It's speculation across the board. All three of us are speculating. There's no way the Steelers are tipping their hand. That's the first and foremost. If you think that Shedeur Sanders and Aaron Rodgers would be a successful quarterback room combination in 2025, I got nothing for you.
Well, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. If they thought that he was a franchise quarterback, they would have said, peace out to Aaron Rodgers. That's my point. You can't get out of a world because you love Aaron so much where you can't imagine them. You can't imagine them passing on Aaron Rodgers.
That is hysterical.
In no way did I set up a scenario where I said, yes, keep them both.
You asked it the way you wanted to, so you get the answer. You asked it the way you wanted to, so you could get the answer that you were looking for.
I gave her your verbiage as option A, completely fair, saying, is it because Aaron Rodgers is holding him hostage, or is it because there was nobody they believed in? And she said
exactly what you were doing. Know exactly the way that you asked that question. You know exactly the way you said it.
How would you have asked it? How would you have asked it to get what you want, Mr.
It doesn't matter.
Oh, you put her in a corner? Don't insult her intelligence. She could have chosen either one. Don't insult her intelligence.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
So you think I pitted her in a corner and she couldn't say Aaron Rodgers was holding him hostage from the quarterback that they really wanted? You think I put her in a corner?
The way that it was set up, you got the answer you were looking for.
It's the correct answer. And now you have to rely on that to feel like you may have come away with the win. But she clearly said that if they wanted somebody that they believed in, if there was somebody that they believed in, they would have taken him regardless of Aaron Rodgers. That's clearly what she said.
Do you want me to walk away from this thinking that Aaron doesn't have them in his stranglehold? Is that your goal? What's the goal?
I know what
the goal of going down petty corner? What was the main objective?
It was to show that Brooke Pryor is correct, that the Ravens or the Steelers would have taken a quarterback if they believed in him. And she talked at length, I didn't pull it in, about what Kenny Pickett and what that did. And they did not want to miss again and just take a chance on somebody, because they could have used those premium picks on guys that can help elsewhere, that they know can help, but they're not so sure about a quarterback. She went on and talked about all that. So I know you won't change your mind, because your heels are stuck, are
as are yours. As are yours.
Because I'm correct.
Okay. And you know what? You super chats have been flying in. And why don't we just agree to disagree and get back to super chats?
We will do that.
I think we left off with Sod Blitz. So Mark Tip, you guys don't think you guys don't think I have it in me to go back and forth with somebody?
You do. You obviously just did.
Let's go. Let's do it. You know, Bland. Hey, is this Bobby Bland, Bland Bobby, everybody, or what do you want? What do you guys want? It's a brother and sister going at it right now.
I love it.
Mark Tip, go right ahead.
He said, Mark Tip said, someone should myth bust this gorilla versus 100 men. You get 100 people to sign up for it.
Oh boy, Adit's putting me in here now. Bobby and 100 Felix Bautistas. He's 6'8". He's the closer for the Orioles against the gorilla. Anybody changing their mind? Anybody changing their mind? Well, I don't know my vertical, as we learned within the last couple of weeks, but I do know that I'm 5'8" with the right Skechers on and 1.7. Gosh, what was I the other day? I don't have a scale in my house. And when I went to visit Tori in Denver, I weighed myself 172, I think, somewhere around there. So, okay. Sod Blitz 34.
He said 10 hyenas can take out a lion. 100 men can kill one WE. I thought we were talking about gorillas. What's WE?
I don't either, but I know you got to take this one again, because I actually got this one was pretty funny.
Not a fan says, Bobby quotes, slippery little sucker, trust it. You are slippery.
That was
He's got a stranglehold on the QB room. Oh, just on one quarterback. Well, which is it?
Look, you know what's funny? You did not upload that into the waiting room. So the entire time I'm thinking we got Kelsey and we're jammed with content. And I'm like, you talk about an ambush. Oh, here comes Kelsey. Oh, she just totally apologized. We'll do it another time with her. Okay. And we'll write back to her after the show. She's okay, which we were wondering earlier on. But yeah, this was speaking of slippery, I think it goes both ways. You did not have that clip in the waiting room, leading me to believe.
How is that? Slippery means that you're changing your point of view. I never once did.
Slippery is, you're coming prepared with segments and.
Did you not tell me yesterday when we hung up the phone offline, you said, I'm going to go back and watch and I'm going to come and I'll be prepared. And I said, okay, I will too. That's your own fault.
Correct. But when
I'm slippery for preparing.
Wait a second, though.
Slippery for preparing, and you didn't do it, so now I'm slippery.
Wait a second, though. In our pre-show meeting, it never came up, so I was wondering if we were a little tight on time, maybe.
Oh, you are so full of excuses. Oh, it didn't come up in pre-meeting. We had like 30 minutes. We have it in the doc that we're going to have this conversation.
Oh, Bird.
You are so full of excuses.
100 Aaron Donalds versus one silverback gorilla. #99 equals a W.
Aaron Donalds, that's pretty good. Yvette says the Browns fans will be squealing for strong safety. Is that what you're getting at? Or is it?
Probably.
Okay, 2. That may prove to be a hot mess. #Voltrons.
Not a fan, likes the debate format. Not going to lie, this is the best version of y'all with the popcorn emoji. And if anybody thinks that it's going to spew into our post-show meeting, think again. Never does, never will.
Can I ask you a question, Bobby?
Yeah.
I have a question for you. Now, you've told me in the past that you love debating this and that. I do like it. But you have come around to it. I have a question for you. If part of the reason that you're coming around to it, that we've been partners now for 2.5, coming up 3 years, that that as intense as we just got, that as soon as it's over, we're cool. Like, does it take a couple years to know you're cool with somebody like that? Because I don't like to come hard, because I never know how people are going to react. But I think after 3 years, I know both you and I that we can come hard and then be like, all right, let's move on with business. And we're like, you'll say something like, hey, this is like a brother-sister relationship. Is that not part of it?
That's probably a part of it. But to me, it's more like, I just got to be invested in the topic to some extent. And think we all know in today's sports media world, there's a lot of manufactured content.
Yeah.
Manufactured debate. And I just have scoffed at that type of content for a long time and have never wanted to partake in it.
Yeah.
So it's more, I think it's more along those lines.
It's more of like finding a genuine disagreement.
But there's no question. No question
I agree with that.
That we've built up a certain level of trust and rapport that we know we can dance and let it rip. So
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Live B for you.
He says, or she says, correct me if I'm wrong. Seems like Bobby is saying they passed on Shedeur Sanders because Aaron may turn them down if he's there. I think Aaron coming in will be a circus no matter what. Grabbing my popcorn, #vault.
Appreciate it, Liv. Taylor Hazel says, if you're in San Francisco, look up Ravens in the – oh, no. What is SF? If you're in SF, look up Ravens in the Fog, and we are Area Ravens Group. Maybe it is San Francisco.
I think San Francisco. I feel like I've heard that before.
All right.
Yeah.
That's cool. Appreciate it, Taylor. And are the 49ers on their road site? Is that what somebody said by Santa Clara in an earlier super chat? Are the 49ers on their road trip site next year? Maybe. But anyway, Joe Jenkins says, again, if anyone this is you.
Says again, if anyone needs great debating in a courtroom, contact the firm of Trossett and Ellison at 1-800-THE-VAULT.
Funny. Who's their future opponents? I didn't think San Francisco was on there. So why are they going to be in Santa Clara next year? Their road sites out of the division are Buffalo, Miami. Oh, Santa Clara is where the Super Bowl is. Hello. Wake up, bro.
Hello.
I got you. Excuse me. Sorry. Saad Blitz 34 says the Pittsburgh Steelers are not in a million years making decisions based on how Aaron Rodgers feels. Anyone in 26 is greater than Sanders. And having taken a look today, actually, at Todd McShay's early, way too early mock draft, the guy literally this is when you know you're a freak when it comes to draft content. He put out a 2026 mock today. And there's a lot of quarterbacks that are going to be projected first rounders. It's going to be a much
better year.
Yes. Sure. Yes. And remember, there only ended up being 2 taken in the first round. 6 was 2023. Or excuse me, 2024, there were 6. This year there were 2. Cam Ward and Jackson Dart.
Oh, WE equals whatever, according to Sod. So his question was about 100 whatever.
Gotcha. Okay. This is you.
He says, when did Shedeur become Dennis Rodman, LMAO? He's not even Manziel level.
Olu writes, I love it, Sarah, when you're in your bag. 100% correct. Bobby, you're petty Paula today. Like Agent Steve Smith said, ice up, son. Sarah with the trophy. And classic. Olu, of course, I have to be the one to read that in the back and forth. I'm reading it for the first time.
So glorious.
I should have read it first and then given it to you if I was ahead of the game here, but here's yours for dreams.
He said, maybe I'll have one in the reverse. He says, Shedeur is a topic due to his last name. Just wait in a year or two. When Arch comes out, Shedeur will be brought up again, even though Arch is better.
King Lee writes, great debate, guys. I love it. This was awesome. We appreciate you, King. Thanks for the love. Should we get to some closing quick hits or save them for tomorrow?
I think I've only got one here. It's basically Matt Miller. Look, my voice is...
Well, you're a little under the weather, too, for those that don't
I am
know.
a little under the weather, but I was also yelling a little bit there. So Matt Miller did his 2025 NFL draft. He ranked his what he thinks are the best picks, 1 through 100. He's got number 9 as the best pick, 9th best pick, Malachi Starks. And he just talks about the fit, which we've talked about. And he talks about how incredibly safe or smart he is and the 2 safety sets with Kyle Hamilton. But then, to your point, you said one of your favorites was Teddy Buchanan at linebacker.
Yeah.
That was his 79th, not quite the 9th best, but his 79th best pick. He says, Buchanan was one of my favorite linebackers to watch on film and landed with a team that has had a historic run at the position. He won't be unseating Roquan Smith anytime soon, but could he unseat? He didn't mention Simpson. He said, but Buchanan has the goods to eventually start in the NFL. Bobby, I was going to ask you when you brought him up. And you said that he'll start on special teams. Do you think, and you said eventually starting, right? Is that correct? Like starting over Simpson? Was that your projection?
I don't think I actually said it.
Yeah.
I was just kind of talking to what I think speaking to what I think he can translate to with his athleticism. I mean, it's a 40-inch vertical jump, and the Next Gen Stats had him at the 7th overall ranked linebacker in this year's class from pure athleticism. So I guess what I was saying was, having watched some film on him yesterday, actually, I think Jonas Schaefer was the one who did a deep dive on some of his splash plays at Cal. And we are trying to track down his defensive coordinator too, to try and get, a little bit more perspective on how his game translates. But, in my mind, it was like, man, he looks like a guy that's going to go in, earn his keep in special teams. And if Trenton starts to struggle a little bit with the processing side of the game, which he did last year, look out, because Teddy's going to be knocking on the door. I don't know I don't know if I feel comfortable yet saying his rookie season, but I do think they have a future starter in Teddy. How about that?
Okay. Anyway, that's the only quick hit I had.
Good stuff.
There we go.
All right, let's get some patrons in here. Andrew Simmons and Leah Couples, thank you both for believing in what we're building. We appreciate you very much. And this is your monthly shout out because of the support that you give us through Patreon. It's patreon.com/RavensVault podcast. We're coming up on 100 channel members. You can become an official Voltron by clicking on the link that's a pinned comment right now in the live chat. You can help us get to 24,000 subscriptions by subscribing. You can like the video to shoot this thing out to others. You can keep supporting us. We'll be back in under 24 hours, under 23 hours from now for a Friday edition. We'll be joined by Mary Kay Cabot, and we'll probably be pushing, and that's for the Cleveland perspective, and we'll probably be pushing Kelsey to next week. We're working on a number of things behind the scenes, which we're excited about. And I just saw a chat that says that it seems personal between you and me. They could not be farther off when it comes to this debate that we had today. So just know that in closing.
I would never come that hard against like a stranger. You know what I mean? It's only like we talked about it. We said we were going to, come hard. We've discussed debates. So yeah, no, it's a calculated unleashing of passion from both of our sides for sure.
It's all good. Yep. Love when you guys participate too, which you did.
Yeah.
In big ways. So thank you for the 32 super chats. Thank you for over 2,200 concurrents at this moment. And a lot more to come tomorrow. So like the video, subscribe, hit that notification bell. For Sarah Ellison, I'm Bobby Trossett signing off from this Thursday edition. Leave a comment, hit us up with some feedback via email, BaltimoreRavensVault@gmail.com. We don't always get back to every single email, but we do try for as many as possible to at least read and decipher and process. Marone hits us with a super chat on the way out. And he writes, this was worth the price of admission, which hopefully was free if you have a Google account. But I guess it ended up becoming a $19.99 admission for
Appreciate it. Yeah,
appreciate that very much. Thank you all. We'll catch up with you on Friday. And as always, thanks for spending some time with us here inside the vault. We will talk to you soon. Later.